Welcome to Healthy Lifestyle with Lorianne and co-host Vince Perrotta. I am Coach Lorianne, and you are?
Vince Perrotta. Hi, everyone.
There you go. Our goal here at Healthy Lifestyle is to inspire, educate, ignite, and empower you to fulfill a healthy, emotional, spiritual, and physical life so you can feel empowered to live the life you have always wanted and dreamed. Welcome to the show. I hope everybody's having a great holiday season. How was your holiday, Vince?
It was really wonderful. This is such a fun time. I'm like a little kid again. I always think this is just the best time of year if you can let go and enjoy it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You're a little kid again. You're always a little kid.
Thank you.
That's why we're friends.
It's fun to be 12 years old again.
I'm this many. I'm 5. So it's good. It's good. So, gosh, we're at the end of December. Can you believe that?
The year just feels like it went so fast, but I always say that like the real tough part is once you hit Thanksgiving, you kind of fly through the rest of the year. And I always think, wow, it's going to be over soon. And we're god awful close to the end of the year now.
Yeah, without a doubt. And it's so exciting. I love the new year too, because it's an opportunity to start again. It's almost like spring, right? You get to start again and create what next year is going to look like for yourself, right?
Totally agree. You know, it's fun to look back. You look at the things you did really well, and we always kind of squeeze in like, I wish I'd done this differently or this better. But
that's how we learn.
Yes, we did learn. And you're right at the beginning, though, of like, here's this new chance. You got a clean slate, right? Let's start again, clear slate and say, what do I want to do this year?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And the possibilities are endless.
Yes.
So there's nothing that's stopping you from reaching your goals or reaching your dreams or having them. So a lot of times people don't have them, or they overreach, they make them so big that they're not attainable, right?
Well, it's true. And I can't wait, though, because I've been thinking I have a good list of New Year's resolutions that I'm going to make because I've got a lot of things that I want to get accomplished this year. And I get, like I said, I'm really excited and I get pumped at this time.
I'm going to ask you to change your lens on that one because I'm face slapping right now when you said New Year's resolutions.
Oh, I thought it was because you look fat. Is that?
No, stop that. You're fine. You're perfectly perfect. No, New Year's resolutions don't work. Why don't they work, Vince?
Well, I don't know. I usually make a list and then fail at them. So
well, I'll tell you
didn't do this.
Well, we all do that, right? But the New Year's resolutions, we always make them so huge that they're really not attainable. And or we do too many resolutions and then we don't have an implementation strategy or plan, right? So I like to change it to vision and goals. And that's why I always have the first Friday of every January, I have my vision and goal setting class. It's a master class, workshop, however you want to refer to it. And it really has us sitting down and really thinking about what those goals are. So changing from New Year's resolutions to goals. And here's the thing. The reason why we do that is with goals, we're looking at the what, not the how. We're looking at what we want to accomplish in 2024. So what are some of those goals that you want to accomplish or your New Year's resolutions that you want to accomplish during all of 2024?
So all of 2024, I'm actually looking to improve my business operationally. I want it to be a little better. I also have 2 new services that I want to introduce that I think are going to emphasize a lot more, with clients that have that need. And then the last thing is it's more personal. I want to work less hours. I'm working way too much. And so the gray hair is real and time to do a little less.
There's a men's product for that. Just saying.
I would need the pump spray because
it's not a tanning spray thing.
No, it's just that's how gray I am. It's probably white if so.
It's fine. Don't worry. Salt and pepper's cool. Just you have a little more salt and pepper right now. I'm just saying. I can't talk. I have somebody, Danielle, thank God. Her one job is to make sure I never see the undocumented grays that I have. So
see, but that's a beautiful thing because it works and it looks really good. And I'm my last comment on this is, as a guy, you just keep looking in the mirror and going, who's that old guy that you shaved this week? That's really.
When did they show up?
And they keep coming back and they look worse. Anyway, all right.
So you said something just to bring us back in. You said something that was really important. You made two business goals, and then you said, and on the personal side, so important. We can't separate personal and business. I used to call myself a life and business coach, and that was redundant because you're one human. So holistically, we have to look at ourselves. So when we do the goal setting, I look at 7 areas of our lives. So we're going to look at 7 areas of our lives. We're going to look at our financials, which, I know is near and dear to your heart. We're going to look at our business, our professional career center. We're going to look at our fun time, our recreation, our sports, our hobbies, travel, things like that. That's a third area that we're going to look at. And a lot of people don't look at fun time as an area that they need to look at. We need to incorporate that so we stop thinking about business and stop thinking about those other things so that we can get more creative, have fun. And believe it or not, that allows us to open up to other possibilities. The 4th area is health, fitness, physical, right? And we were talking about that before we started the show. Our 5th is relationships, family, friends, and business, right? And then personal, our projects, our learning, our practices, our purchases personally for us. That's the us thing. And then the last one is contributions. That's where it's service, community, give back, our legacy. What will we be known as? So those are the 7 areas we're going to focus on when we set our goals. And so when you start thinking about your goals, and you should be thinking about it now as the new year approaches, and then join us for the workshop, because that's when we actually get down and you start working and writing down what exactly you want to do. And I do this every year myself. And that's why I figured, hey, let's just do a work session where we all get together and do it together. And
full disclosure, I've actually taken that class with you. I had to repeat it because, I needed remedial. But having said that, seriously, I thought it was... You did it
with your team, actually.
Yeah, I did it the second time with my team because I wanted them to have an opportunity to take a look at it the way you do. The lens you look it through is, let's break it down into these pieces that are, 1, understandable, right? That's really important. And 2, I think something when you do goal setting by yourself, right? If you sit by yourself, because I think there is a component of that. You want to sit quietly and you want to have this opportunity to get clear and quiet, but you want to make sure that you're looking comprehensively at those things. And I thought that when we went through your class, that was the most impressive component, is allowed me to take those individual pieces, look at them, and then put the whole thing together. And I felt, wow, when I was done, I had this great vision of what my year was going to be like. And then I could step back and say, okay, but what are the pieces that will make me successful to do that? So really, just my personal opinion, having taken the class twice, it was really very helpful. It got me organized and on a really good track.
Yeah, and that's what we want. And again, we want to just focus on the what, not the how. How are we going to do? We're going to put that aside. Don't worry about that. That's an easy thing to come. The other thing you're going to see when we do it is you're going to see there's a thread that goes through all 7 areas. The thread connects all the 7 areas of who you are and where you're going. And you're going to see some of the things are going to be in a couple of different categories. There's your thread. And we're going to pull at that thread and see what it is that you want to do. It really gives you, and I keep using that word clarity, but it's really important to understand what you want, because if you don't understand what you want, you don't know where you're going. So you just kind of roll with it. And then you're in that hamster wheel, as opposed to having intentional steps. A lot of times I speak to clients and I speak to individuals when I do speaking engagements where their biggest thing is, I start and then I stop. And I was like, that's because it's too big. So like a pizza, and we've used this analogy before, like a pizza, we don't eat it in one bite. We break it into slices, and then we take, well, maybe not you, but then we take bites of each of those slices. So we actually set up a strategy and a plan of what those steps are to get to where you want to go. And know, and this is a real big key, and you need to know where it is that you just have to go with the flow because things are going to change. So you set the goal, but it's going to look different by the time you get there because it's going to grow and expand and it's going to actually have life to it. It's going to breathe life into it. So that's why it changes, is because you breathe life into it. And then, other things come into play that change what it may look like in the end, but it's still getting you there, right? Because you could check in. You have a litmus test to check back in. Hey, am I staying on course?
You make an excellent point in that when you're working and you're going through those different things, what's the biggest problem after you completed that, right? Your calendar, the things you plan day to day, you literally can look, and this is something that one of the reasons I subscribe to what your class has done for me is I can look at my work day and say, I did all these tasks. Well, how do they relate to what I'm trying to achieve? And not infrequently, okay, confessions of somebody who can get distracted. I've done all these tasks, but they weren't the most productive things I could be doing, right? They were actually distractions. And if you keep looking at that vision and those goals and the information that you listed, you go, wow, I'm putting, you start to look at where you're allocating your time. You're allocating your time to the wrong things. So at the end of the year, when you look at your goals and go, gee, I don't know why I didn't accomplish this. Actually, you do know why. Look at where you allocated the time relative to what you wanted to achieve.
Yeah. And it doesn't mean that the distractions, as you refer to them, those things that you're doing that weren't getting you to your goal, it doesn't mean those distractions were a bad thing to do. It's one of the to-dos, but it wasn't the most important things to do. Yes. So I challenge you that in the morning between when you start your work day or when you start your day till noon, that you get those steps that you want to take towards your goals done before noon. Then you can do those other distractions things because now you've taken some steps in the direction. I know one of the things I used to do is I used to do a lot of free work. I would, I'll do this for you. I'll take care of that. And I wanted to do those things, but it wasn't getting me to my goals. It was getting them to theirs, but it wasn't getting me to mine. So I make sure that I do my things first. And then I do the give backs to the communities and give back to some of my clients and things like that, or friends and family and all those things you want to do, but it doesn't get you to your goals. So you're now have the ability to do both. And when you see yourself doing distractions as opposed to taking the steps to forward you towards your achievement of goals, I want you to stop and think, why are you doing that? And that's where my take action with Jet Propulsion came in, is because I found myself doing things to distract myself because I was stuck. I didn't know the next steps to take. So that's an indicator of knowing that it's a challenge and you're not sure what next steps to take. So that's why you do that. Yep. That's why you distract yourself with something that's easier. Okay, let me get this done because I'm not sure what to do here. Or we're not cognitive of the fact that we're not taking that step because we're unclear as to what the next best step is. Make sense?
It does make sense. And you also tend to avoid the things that, it's like, oh, I don't really want to do that. So I really love the fact that you said, get those things done by noon, right? Start first thing in the morning. Those are my first priorities. And then if I use the rest of my day to do other things and I, take my focus away, that's at least I used my prime time, which is that, when I'm fresh, I'm starting my day to tackle. And the last thing I wanted to add to that was sometimes we forget. We always want to go, I'm going to use a football analogy, right? You want to go 10 yards to get a first down. Well, you don't get 10 yards on every play. Sometimes you're going to get 2 yards. Sometimes you're going to get 5 yards, right? And you've got to use the number of downs you have to get to the 10 yards. So making some progress is better than making no progress.
Absolutely.
No.
Absolutely. No. And that's a valid, really sage point, is that it doesn't matter how big the leap is. It's not all these grand steps and you don't feel accomplished if you don't take the grand step. It's the little nibbles that matter. It's the little steps that take you in that direction. As long as it's taking you towards your goals, it's good. And again, we'll talk about the how later. It's right now, we're just thinking about the what. The how, what happens is we kind of self-sabotage and we're like, oh, well, I don't have enough money, or I don't have enough time, or when am I going to do this? Or all these those are just distractions as well. So don't worry about the how. The how will come as long as you have a clear vision. So this is and that's why I call it vision and goal setting. It's not just goal setting. You have to have a clear vision. And this goal setting allows you to set not only goals, but to really have clarity in what your vision is. What do you really want to accomplish? What is it that your next steps are going to be? And they may change as you go through the year and say, you know what, that no longer serves me. My vision has taken a different direction. I need to reset the goals. That's why I go back in around April and I do spring into action. That's another class that I do because it reminds us after the first 3 months, hey, where are we? What have we accomplished? Are we taking those steps? And if not, why? Let's look at that. Let's look at that because sometimes those are what we fondly refer to in our industry of coaches as blocks. Those are things that are getting in our way that is holding us back. And sometimes it's ourselves and our experiences in the past. It's our hesitation because of our fear of success, our fear of failure. So many things come into play. And we can talk more about that because that goes back to what? Mindset, right?
That's right. It goes back to having that clarity. It really does. And I was listening, and the thing that came to my mind when you were talking about that is I had an experience this period when I was doing my planning. I had something that I have written down as a goal for the last 3 years. And I went back to break that goal down because I went, where did I get that? It had both qualitative and quantitative component to it. And when I broke it down for the first time, sometimes like a little light bulb over your head, like I really understood the goal and what it alerted me to. And the reason I'm sharing this is the way I was approaching it was wrong. I'm not surprised I didn't accomplish it. It actually, by reestablishing the goal and taking the time to analyze it, I actually figured out that I was approaching it incorrectly.
Now you say you're approaching it incorrectly. I just want to change that languaging. What was it that you saw that was preventing you from going forward? Was it clarity of understanding of the why you wanted to do this? Or was it the actions or steps that you needed to take to achieve it?
That's a great question. And it was the actions or steps that I needed to achieve it. I was literally I was taking actions that were the incorrect actions. They weren't the proper things that would get me forward in that goal. And I have to say, as much as I realized that, well, I failed to achieve that goal, that's okay. I actually felt so good that I'm like, wow, I get why I did. So the reason I was pointing it out is we sometimes have a goal and you keep missing it. Don't just list it. Like I literally dug into it again. I'm like, let's go back to ground zero. What was I trying to achieve? Why did I put this down? What are the details that went into it? And just forcing myself to go through that review, I was able to kind of get that clarity around it.
Yeah. And you said you failed to achieve that goal. Maybe there's a couple things here that I want you to think about. Maybe you weren't ready to achieve that goal, and that's why it wasn't being successful. You didn't have all the tools you needed in place yet in order to achieve that goal. And then and I love what you said, you look back at it and went, okay, let me break this down. What do I really, why am I doing this? What are the whys behind it? What is it that I want to achieve? And why haven't I done it so far? Asking yourself all those questions are so good. It doesn't mean it's a bad thing. The other thing that may have resulted from that goal, Vince, was that you decided that it no longer served you. I know I had a goal that I was like, oh, I need to do this. Why am I not doing it? I went back and visited it like you did. And I discovered that it no longer served me because I was going in a different direction. So I no longer needed or wanted that goal. I wanted something else. So I modified that goal to really work with the direction that, I had been taken in. And that's something that's where those whispers and nudges you get from universe of saying, somebody keeps coming into your life and saying, we should work together. And you go, okay, that sounds good, but you don't do anything. And then all of a sudden you're like, we should work together. You know what? Let's do it. Boom. That was the right time. So I always look at the failures as never a failure because we learn from our failures. That's what we're supposed to do. We don't learn from our successes. We celebrate our successes without a doubt, but we learn from our failures. And that's what in our Dream Big in November that we usually do. We celebrate all of our successes and look at what we didn't achieve to see if, is this something we want to achieve in the next year? So I think it's an important thing that you review that. And it's a really sage point that you bring forward, that in reviewing it, you were able to break it down. And I think part of it was time now because you had the time, the space, and the tools to do it.
That's really big because I did have the time. It's funny. I had taken a day off and I was relaxing and I was just tooling around a little bit. And that is not uncommon for me to say, I just want to take a look at something for business. And so I brought up my business plan and I started looking at the goals. And it was the first time I had that quiet time to reflect. My head was clear. There wasn't a priority or a deadline that I was focused on in addition to what I was trying to accomplish. I was just purely focused on, I'm relaxed. I'm going to take a look at this. Hey, I think I need to understand this a little better.
Yeah. Oh, I want to keep talking about this. You're listening to Healthy Lifestyle with Lorianne and JBC Broadcasting, here with Vince Perrotta, co-host Vince Perrotta. We're going to keep talking about vision and goal setting and 2024. So excited, it's coming. We're going to take a short break. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Healthy Lifestyle with Lorianne. I am Coach Lorianne, and we have
Vince Perrotta.
Vince Perrotta with us today. If you would like to be a guest or lift up your business, product, or non-for-profit, or if you have questions or comments, we'd love to hear from you. Email us at healthylifestylewithla@gmail.com. That's healthylifestylewithla@gmail.com. And you can always email Vince at Vince Perrotta. No, I'm only kidding. So welcome back. We're talking about visioning and goal setting for 2024. And you had mentioned before the break that you were looking at some goals and things like that. And one of the things I love to do during goal setting and visioning is defining who our perfect client and or customer is. Do you do that?
I do. And that's actually what I had been focusing on as a part of what we were discussing a little earlier. I have a couple of coaches that help me, and I have a specific business coach to my area of work. And I never really quite got, like, I was defining the client customer, but I didn't understand it. I'm writing it down. I was going through the effort and motion. And that really was illuminating because I had to sit and figure it out. It was not easy.
Yeah, no, it's not easy at all, but it's right in front of you. So you really need to break that down. Again, it's about sitting down and giving it that time. That's what I refer to as working on our business and on ourselves as opposed to in life, where we're going and doing everything that we do on a daily basis for work and life. So it's really important to take that time. And this is the perfect time of year to do that because we're resetting the button. It's a reset button. And we get to do that every day, quite frankly. And anytime you can do this, but this is a really great time to do it because we're starting a new year. So we feel like, okay, let's start fresh.
Well, and I want to go back to that. You always make that point, and it's kind of subtle, and I'm going to call it out with intent. So it was one of the best things that I've learned from you, working on your business and working in your business. They are distinctly different.
Yes.
And not doing one is very common. And so you'll work in your business excessively, right? Because that's what we do and we love that. But are you working on your business? And that resonated with me, and it actually helped me significantly because I realized I need to take time outside of the business tasks that I do. Love what I do. That's why I do it. Yeah. But I have to work on it. Otherwise, there's nothing to do.
Yeah. So let me define the difference for everyone is that when we're working in our business, we're working with our clients, we're working with our customers, we're in our zone of genius, we're doing what makes us feel really yummy and good. That's why we like doing it, right? That's why we're in it and we love working in our business. So working on our business isn't as much fun, but it can be. I now love working on my business as much as I love working in my business. Working on my business is setting goals. Working on my business is looking to the future of how can I serve my clients better? What can I do? What services should I enhance? Should I be offering all these things or should I focus in one or another? are there things that I'm doing that I can have somebody else do and it's their zone of genius, like doing the books and taking care of the finances? I have other people do that because I do not enjoy it. I know my finances. It's very important to work on your business and understand your finances. That's part of your goal setting. So if you don't do napkin math in your business, you're not going to achieve your goals. Let me back up to napkin math. What napkin math is if you want to make, I'm going to make up numbers right now, $200,000 in a year. How many clients do you need to see? How many customers do you need to have? How many widgets do you need to sell in order to do that? Once you figure that out, how many of those do you need to do on a quarterly basis, monthly basis, weekly basis, daily basis? And you really task that number down, and it's not so overwhelming. It's not, I have to speak to a gazillion clients in order to do blah, blah. No, I need to speak to 20 clients a week in order to get to X number. So you really do that napkin, and that's part of working on your business is doing all that background thinking. Sometimes it's doing nothing and just thinking about where you were, where you are, and where you want to be. Just thinking about it is a whole lot of really greatness, so that's an important element as well.
There's, what you speak to is so important because there is an intentionality that you are subtly expressing. But I want to just, if you would, for a moment,
yeah, come
on that, because that intentionality about your business, that ability to step back, don't sit in your office where you're distracted doing the things I love what I do. Okay. What I do, I can do for hours. I can work to 8:30, 9 o'clock at night. Don't even think about it. It's fun. And that's just me. But you said it exactly. But that working on my business component, I've got to step back. I've got to step away, and I've got to say to myself, what is it that, I need to do to sustain this? Because I want to keep doing what I love. And that intentionality needs to be away from my office. It needs to be in a quiet place. It needs to be looking objectively at myself. I call myself, Vince Incorporated and Vince the employee, right? So sometimes I need to be Vince Incorporated, not as much as Vince, the employee working, doing all the work, right? I need to be Vince, the corporation, to say, this is what I do.
Yeah.
How do I build it further? What else, like you were saying before, there are a couple of services I want to offer that are new and different this year. Okay. Coming up in the new year. I have to think about that in the abstract so that I can create my goals specifically to incorporate it and how.
Yeah, and you even need to test it. You need to test it on a couple of clients. If you're offering new services, it's like, hey, you're one of my favorite clients. What do you think about this? Would you want to have that service? And actually market test it. That's what it is. It's just getting some feedback from the very people that you're serving. So I love something that you said too, is you said lost in time. Well, you didn't use that phrase, but you got lost in time. And that happens to me. That's when you're in your superpower. That's when you're in, time is just a concept. It's a conception that humans made up so that we can keep people in structure. But when you're lost in time, you're really in your happy zone. And that happy zone can be offside, where you're not working with your clients, but you're looking, how can you improve your business? How can you improve what you're doing? What other services can you offer? And it's really important to do those things, to take those moments to do it. You're not goofing off. And sometimes that means, taking a run and thinking about it while you're taking a run, or even when you're exercising. I know you do that. You have a really good habit every day doing that exercise, called you 24, because you're 24/7 always, really focused in on what you're doing. And that's an important element. And that's where where people are successful. That's what makes people successful. Goal setters make people successful. And if you don't have your own business and you have your own desk and you're working for someone, you can still do that. What will make you a better employee? You said that as well. You look at Vince, the employee, as well as Vince, the CEO, as well as Vince, the, entrepreneur, business owner. So when you're sitting and working at a desk for someone, or you're working for someone, you can set personal goals, business goals for yourself for improvement. And that also helps you get ahead of wherever it is that you are. So it's really good to have those intentional steps that you want to take.
It's really good, and if you work with someone or for someone or report to them, you need time to stare out the window. And that probably sounds counterintuitive, but it's not, because staring out the window to have that clarity, you did say it's true. I like to work out every morning before I go to work. That's one of my best times because it burns that excess of energy that can be distracting from what you want to focus on. And you can keep a single thought in your head because, you're working out and you kind of burn some energy. And so you have the ability to stay focused. And that is so important. It's that ability to laser dig into something so you can get granular, right? You're going to start from the top, but you're going to get granular. So I'm I want to understand it, because if I understand it, then I can achieve it. I can break down what I need to do to get there.
Yeah. And there's an interesting the thing that you said about working out. There's a rhythm to working out. So if you're running, think about it. There's a rhythm. Step, right? Or if you're lifting, you're counting and stuff like that. There's a rhythm behind it. And that's why you get laser focused. There's a rhythm to getting laser focused, to keeping yourself in. I'm a Super Ball. We've spoken about being a Super Ball before. I'm a Super Ball. I have a high, crazy bounce. And why it's a Super Ball is because it looks like it's a hot mess, right? But it really isn't. It's just a lot of energy. And I have to really work at keeping my energy focused. I learned how to harness that energy and stay focused. And I get distracted, right? So it's oh, pretty butterfly, right? But then I know now how to pull myself back and go, wait, I can play with the butterfly later. I need to stay on task. I need to complete this task. And it's really funny because now that I'm aware, and we've spoken about awareness being the first step. Now that I'm aware that happens, when it happens, I'm oh, yeah, nope, stay focused. Let's complete this task. And then you can go play.
That's a really good aside, because I struggle with that. I have that. I can get distracted and easily focus on something else. And certain things are built for us. One of the things that I talk to my kids about this all the time is your phone is a major distraction.
Yep.
It's going to take you down that, I call it a death spiral, because, you go from one thing to the next thing. Oh, I'm just going to look at this cute, like you said, butterfly, but it's this little clip and that little clip, and there's short vignettes that drive you in a place that you can't be, because you just lost your entirety of focus. And so that's why I stare out the window. There's nothing but a sky in front of you. You can't hear anything else. You can only see that, right? There's pure cloud, and you're looking up. So it's not a car driving by. It's not a person walking by. You don't see kids giggling. Those are all beautiful, wonderful things, but not when I need to think. When I need to think, I need to be quiet, clear, and kind of focused right here.
Yeah. Your most successful people, although they may use social media, they're not trolling on social media. And they're very intentional. So I'm going to say that word a gazillion times the next 3 weeks. Very intentional on everything they do and how they spend their time. They intentionally do their habits in the morning, whether it's exercising, whether it's a combination of exercising, journaling, gratitude journals, whatever your habits are in the morning to get you started and set your day. They're very intentional about that, and they spend time meditating. And during that meditation, whatever question comes up is something that they need to focus on. So that's why we quiet our minds and get very intentional. That's why the time setting is important too. So all this starts with visioning and goal setting, because it's very intentional.
It really pulls you away to do that. If you don't mind, I have a quick little story I want to share. For anyone that for my generation remembers the lunar module landing on the moon back in 1969. When they were designing the lunar module, there was a head engineer. This guy was absolutely brilliant. And every time they ran into a problem and they had to stop. Now, they were creating something that didn't exist. It literally did not exist. They were creating something that could land on the moon. He would say, I'll be back in a little while. And he used to take a Spalding, for those of us who grew up in New York City. It was this little pale-faced ball. And he would walk outside, and on the outside of the hanger that they were working on, he would take the Spalding and he would just, it's a thing we do in the city. You just kind of bounce the ball on the ground, it hits the wall and you catch it, bounce the ball on the ground. And he would stand there and just keep doing that. And he would think through his stuff. And he always worked through his problems. And then he would come back in and say, let's take it from this angle. He had that, kind of gave him that way to find where the new opportunity was. You mentioned meditating. His was throwing a Spalding against the wall. I like, working out because that's how what's your thing? What makes you focus? What gives you that clarity, that opportunity to be there?
Yep. It's the rhythm. It's the repetition, right? So we're not thinking, we're just doing an action that's keeping our energy focused. So the rhythm is part of the fact that we are vibrational beings, right? Everything vibrates around us, ourselves included. That rhythm is what gets us focused in. And now we hear that rhythm, that click, clink, when he bounces the ball and it hits the wall and it comes back to him. There's a sound to that, right? So that he's focused on that sound and it's repetitive, right? And now he's thinking, okay, what is it? And he's just narrowing in on that repetitive sound that will get him to the answer. He's also clearing his mind by doing that. There's that, we got a lot of noise going up. I always joke around that there's a carnival going on up here, and there is. But, every once in a while I needed to shush. How I shush mine is through meditation and music. The combination for me is just very calming, but it also stops all the craziness that's going on. And that allows me to focus in on what it is that I need to focus on. So, and sometimes nothing comes and that's okay. Sometimes it's not ready yet. It's still simmering. We're allowed to have our thoughts simmer just like water has to simmer before it comes to a boil, right? And that repetitive bouncing of the ball allowed him to focus, clear out all the other things that were going on and all the other responsibilities we have to allow him to focus in on, okay, how do I solve this problem? So, and that's what you do with your exercising too, is just, you're getting rid of perhaps excess energy. You're doing something that's good for your body. You're actually elevating your insides as far as energy goes and vibration goes. And there's your rhythm. Right there is your rhythm.
I'm sorry to interrupt. You used the exact phrase I was thinking. It's that excess energy that I need to not get rid of, but just kind of put it in a good place so that I can think clearly. Yeah. Right. And that's why I wanted to tell that story, because when I took the tour and they were explaining that, it just like it hit me. I'm like, wow, that was amazing. Here's this genius. And the guy really was a genius, creating what did not exist. Yeah. And he just had this basic routine that he would, he needed to think. He knew where he was going to go. He went by himself. It was quiet. And all he could hear, like you were saying, is the rhythm of the ball off the ground on the wall in his hand, off the ground on the wall in his hand. And he could think. You're making a great point, because we all need to find what's our way of doing that.
Right. So be it bouncing a ball, be it exercising, be it meditation, but just find whatever works for you to give you that sound. And, some people go out walking, they take a walk, and the pace, the sound of your shoe, your sneaker hitting the pavement, that sound again, they're subtle, but it really helps us focus in. So I want you to take that into consideration while you're doing your visioning and your goal setting, and have a vision, have a goal, and they don't have to be a lot. Again, one of the reasons why New Year's resolutions fail is it's too much, too soon, and they don't give them enough time. They feel like they're failing. Oh, I missed a day. I don't care. Start now. I tell this story before, as I was speaking to one of my coaches, Jack Canfield. He's the number one success coach in the world. And he was talking to his coach, and he says, yeah, I want to lose weight. I want to exercise. And the coach said to him, and they were on the phone, coach said, put the phone down, drop and give me 10. And he went, what now? And he goes, drop and give me 10. And they were like, he was like, no, I'm going to do it soon. And he said, he was like, oh, you mean now? And he goes, yeah, I mean now. And he was like, okay. So he dropped and gave him 10. So be careful what you say to your coach, because they will hold you accountable. Was one lesson I learned on that. But more importantly,
that's Marine too. So,
yeah, there you go. I think he is actually. And the other point is that it's not wait till Monday. It's not wait till the start of the week. It's not wait till tomorrow. It's do it now. Okay, I missed it. I might not have achieved everything, but let's start again now. The next minute is the start again.
Which is why the vision and the goal class, to start with that as we go into 24, if you take the vision and the goal class, it is going to give you the template to get ready. It is going to give you the clarity of category, the clarity of focus so that you can start, right? Because we've got so many things. You look at your business and you look at your personal life and you're like, how do I take this? You need that guidance that says, okay, here are the 7 categories. We're going to walk through these 7 categories. And I'm going to ask you questions that are going to help you think it through. And the greatest misunderstanding in business is, I've done this before. I know how to do it. I don't need it.
Yeah.
The people who have done it the most, the people who have been the most successful are the ones who will come back and say, okay, let's do this. Let's, because you learn something else. Like I started earlier today to say, I had written that same goal down that my coach and I had talked about for the last 2-3 years. And I did it, but I didn't understand it. And I just got it now. So you keep coming back. All great athletes, they keep coming back and they keep working with that coach. It's like, okay, you know what? When you swing, maybe I have the bat in the right place now, but I'm breaking my wrist, and that's the problem. And I got to keep, and when I stop breaking my wrist, I'm sure there's something else I can do better, but I got to stay with my coach. So the 7 things that you help people focus on, starting the new year with the class, do your vision, setting your goals, recognizing the importance, that puts you in such a good place. At least you can say to yourself, I got a template now. I'm ready to roll.
Yeah, that is, and it's going to change, and you're going to give yourself that grace to allow it to morph as you morph and grow. So yeah, you absolutely hit the nail on the head. I hope everybody has a great new year, and that you do come and join us. There's something about the collaboration, because you hear ideas, and sometimes that gives you your aha moment. And it's like watching a movie over and over again. There's always a time, or reading a book over and over again, you look at it and you go, wow, I didn't notice that the first time. Same thing with this. You're going to notice and learn. You're going to approach it where you are at that moment, which is going to be significantly further on, because you've done it year over year over year, and it becomes a really good habit. And when you see the success in the results, you're going to want to do this year over year. So come join us January 5th. The link is below the show. Feel free to join on, come in. I have a little special thing going on here that if you come and you stay for the whole thing, there's a small nominal fee for it. I will give that back to you in any other product or service that I offer. So just come and do it, and you will see the benefits you will get out of setting those goals. Remember, it's about the what, not the how. So if you're going to do it by yourself, go do that. And more than happy to help you.
Well, I just want to say that the class is January 5th at 6 p.m., correct?
Yes,
it is
Eastern.
6 p.m. Eastern, correct. It is a virtual workshop. You will go through the 7 areas that we discussed, correct, and help them set both the vision. Because if it's the class that I took it, that was really terrific.
Yeah, it is the same class that you took, and it is, and then I did with your team after that. You're going to walk away with it done. So that's the really cool thing. It's done, and now we go to the next level, right? So I'd love you to do that. I'd love to help go through that with you. I know I'll be doing mine at the same time, so please join us. And in the meantime, Happy New Year, Vince. I hope you have a really good New Year. We'll see you in the new year, co-hosting with us again once a month. I love having you on. It's always some yummy goodness and coaching that goes on here, and a lot of exciting things coming up that I get to announce in January. So looking forward to that as well. How about you? Anything good?
Yeah, lots of good things ahead, but mostly I'm really excited to have some things I want to focus on, but I want to wish you a happy new year. Always a pleasure to be here. It's so great for me. I do coach in my role, and this really helps invigorate me and kind of get me motivated to go back and try something every time. So thank you.
Yeah. And Vince, you're such a great coach. So thank you for everything that you do. You're so good at what you do. And thank you all for joining us today on Healthy Lifestyle with Lorianne. I hope we have earned the privilege of your time. Again, look for our show next Saturday at 3 p.m. We can be found on all major platforms, and we would be so grateful if you please like, follow, share, and subscribe. Until next time, I am Coach Lorianne and
Vince Perrotta.
Play a higher role, serve a higher purpose, show up for you, and show up big. Happy New Year. Have a great day.